Podcast. Myself and the guests have been pre-gaming a little bit. I've got a smile on my face already. This is going to be an excellent episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before we get started, I need to go ahead and make a big shout out to Flagship. They are the sponsor. They make this all possible. If you're unfamiliar with Flagship, Flagship is an easy to use DeFi platform that helps you gain an edge in the crypto economy, which oddly enough, we're going to be talking about today. Um, Basically, if you're not a degen, if you're just a normal guy, um, it's almost impossible to keep up with crypto. As a degen, as someone who's been doing this for 6 years, it is hard to stay on top of everything. Um, so Flagship's whole idea, what it's built upon, is this idea that it's this one-stop shop, this one community where you can not only keep up with the latest crypto news via the outposts. For instance, I am the captain of the Stacks outpost. I kind of keep an eye out on things, write articles, get it out to the community, have it in the Discord, chat with the community members, see what they need to know, see what they want to know, and kind of act as a liaison in a sense, right? But in addition to that, Flagship also has what they call baskets, okay, and that is kind of like a crypto ETF almost, right? With the single transaction, a retail buyer can gain exposure to a whole array of crypto assets, all the way from tokens to even NFTs. Um, a very cool project. I wish something like this had existed when I first started. Um, Good team, good people. I highly recommend that you go and check them out. Um, and please, if you haven't, go to the Outpost and just start reading. Just recently did an article on Alex, and it blew up. It's a great article. Alex is a great platform, and it's so cool to be able to bring this info to people who are just kind of on a periphery and just don't live and breathe this stuff. So yeah, check them out. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I love that intro. All right. Today we have a great panel. I've known these people for a long time, through crypto, Twitter, through just private conversations. These are builders. These are early adopters. These are the people you want to hear from. And so today I am proud to introduce Zero and Hodlstx from Zero Authority DAO, as well as Ragnar through Trajan. Ragnar is also um, hosting the Ordinals 2023 conference. Um, so we'll have links for all of these things in the description. Check it out. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
Cool. So one of the first things that I think we should go ahead and discuss is, Ragnar, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're building?
Thanks, Jack, for having me. Yeah, so I'm focused on ordinals and identity and reputation. I've been working on identity for quite a while. My startup is Trajan, again, which is a reputation and identity app. It's decentralized. It uses non-transferable NFTs and the Bitcoin naming system, BNS, to do that. And I'm really passionate about helping people gain prosperity through the reputation over many years. I've seen how reputation has helped me in life. I've also seen how not being able to demonstrate the good things I've done in life has hurt me. So I think having a new Web3 identity and reputation system is key. And I love what the guys are doing with Zero Authority DAO. So we're all part of like a multi-prong effort to sort of move identity and reputation out of the LinkedIn era of the 1990s.
Right. Cool, man. Thanks. Zero, Hodl, same thing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got going on?
Zero, you want to kick it off? Or?
Yeah, let's do it. I was going to wait for you to kick it off here, James.
Whoever's smarter goes first.
Oh man, we're gonna be like
it's no question. James is one of the smartest people I've ever met, and it's not. Go, James, kick us off.
All right, yeah. So we're Zero Authority DAO. What our aim is to we're building what's called the Cerulean Marketplace, so people can come on chain, they can work, they can gain reputation, they can show off their skills that they're learning, and so our viewpoint is that in order to grow the crypto economy, there's all of these users that we're onboarding that have skill sets and they have potential to grow revenue and to really be in crypto and to turn this into what we want it to become. We do need on-chain transactions to grow. We need people to start earning a revenue on-chain. And over time, all of that work will you'll be able to show off your skills, and that'll all be tied to your identity, whether it's like a ENS or BNS. And so yeah, I think it'll be nice and beautiful. Your work history, everything will be on chain, your data will be free.
We started Zero Authority DAO as a way to just promote all of the good builders, founders, and all of the people across stacks in Bitcoin who are doing the work, who showed up every day. It's the culture of stacks, and a lot of Bitcoiners who build is just heads down building, no hype, no frills, right? So what we meant to do initially was just let's give people a chance to get their stories out and their messages, because they weren't doing it early on in the community. And still to this day, a lot of people just focus on building, and that this is where we bridge the gap. So when we started just interviewing folks to give them an active voice, I believe Jake Blockchain came along, and then Airdrop Podcast came along. Then Jack, you came along, and people that joined Zero Authority DAO, initially they like to create content of some sort, whether that's blogging, audio, video, visuals, memes. That's the general purpose. And then as they get down and deeper into learning about stacks and Bitcoin, then they go on to build something. And so, Jack, seeing your evolution, we've seen people come into Zero Authority DAO and like, hey, I just want to create some content and highlight some things. And then they learn about stacks, and they're like, this is the Ethereum on Bitcoin. Why aren't more people learning about this? And like yourself, now we're on Where We Are Ready podcast, and it's just been so amazing to see your journey. And we got to know Ragnar and talk about on-chain reputation. So once I convinced them by the grace of God to join me to build this crazy thing, I said we need to have a marketplace where people who are pseudo-anonymous, completely anonymous, or even have somewhat of an active online presence, and they're going to use their BNS, ENS, they need a place where they can transact in a trustless way. From what we've seen, it happens every day, whether it's in a Discord chat, whether it's on Twitter DMs, whether you're on Telegram, people are working together, collaborating. There's just not a trustless way to do that today. And so we didn't want to build just another Fiverr or Upwork. We said if we're going to build this Cerulean marketplace, one, people have to own their own data. We're not going to take that away. And people have to be able to transact in a trustless way. So this, by using the smart contracts, you interact with the smart contract, and by that nature of owning your own data and working in a peer-to-peer market, you earn reputation. So it's going to be so when we start initially, you won't see what the reputation is because we're not going to show it through the UI. But as we advance, and what I want to show in this chat later on is the plans that we have coming, where you can see I've done this work, I've earned this reputation, I've learned these things from these creators, I've earned that reputation. You'll have a place to see where people have earned trust, have earned credibility. It's not just going to be through word of mouth anymore. So that's what we're so excited about. And then kind of like the LinkedIn models where you put your profile data there. Something that James and I talk about all the time is it's kind of funny, right? You work at this company for years and years, and you can't tell exactly what you've done because of NDAs, because the company they don't want you to release some secret sauce, right? In the Cerulean marketplace, when you're working peer to peer and you have it on your active profile, and people can see that, people can see someone paid Ragnar and Jack in Bitcoin, in stacks, in the zero token. It takes that whole mystery away, and you can actually say, this is the work I've done. I don't need to dance around it and pretend to tell you like a high level summary. You can tell people what you're actually doing today, and people can get even more, build even more trust and reputation with that because they can verify that. And so later on, where this is all going, now that we have ordinals, these reputation badges and the opportunity to create ordinals from this reputation that you earn, it's going to be just amazing now that we have this opportunity.
You know, it's really cool because this intro has summed up the whole theme of this podcast so perfectly. And this is something that could easily be a 4-hour podcast in content alone. I think I'd like to start with the LinkedIn part, because what we believe is that crypto, Web3, whatever you want to call it, is basically the Web2 killer, right? I mean, there's a better way to do this. There's a user-owned internet. We don't have to be, you know, these weird consumers where our data and all of our personal business is sold for profit for someone else's benefit. You know, we should own these things. And LinkedIn is basically just like corporate Facebook. I mean, it's a relic. And you know, I don't mess with it much at all. I don't really need it for my fiat mining job. Um, I made a profile so I could do some things crypto related, but it's a joke, and part of the problem is also that there has to be this cultural shift, I believe, where people have a different mindset when they're thinking about these things, right? So the LinkedIn corporate culture mindset is not authentic in crypto. It's just not. And once people start to recognize that, they're going to have places like, you know, Zero Authority DAO. They're going to have places like Trajan where they can come in as newcomers, understand what's going on, but also, like you said, build that reputation. Because, you know, when you move away from the inauthenticity of Web 2 trying to figure out how to monetize Web 3, and you get into some of the problems that are crypto native, the biggest problem is, hey, someone just launched a token. Is it going to rug? You know, someone just launched an NFT. Is it going to rug? So that right there, you know, speaks to what Ragnar's building, right? Like, this is a way to, sure, I believe anyone should have the right to gamble on any token, any low liquidity shit coin they want, just whatever. I don't believe in a scarcity mindset. I don't think like a maxi. I don't think that, oh, well, if there were no shit coins, you know, Bitcoin would be worth $100 bajillion. Bitcoin might be worth 5,000 had it not been all of these other things built up around Bitcoin, right? So I don't think like that. People should be able to do what they want. But for consumers who are risk averse, for investors who are risk averse, these are the tools that are really necessary, right? So Ragnar, can you briefly go into the thesis on how reputation will be managed, how someone may be able to build their reputation through Trajan?
Yeah, thanks. I think it's looking at a few fundamentals, and Zero and Jack, you already hit on them, but I want to really like specify those and lay those down. The first one is pseudonymity. I mean, look, there's 4 of us right here. 3 of us are using a pseudonym. I have other pseudonyms that I use. So how are the 3 of you guys going to build a reputation with your pseudonyms on LinkedIn? It's a challenge. It's a big challenge, and I have pseudonyms as well. So the first thing is the pseudonymous economy. So these are people, but these are DAOs, right? These are NFT projects. These are coins. These aren't traditional things where you can build a reputation up. So that's the first thing. So what the guys are building Zero 30 DAO, what Trajan is building, and those 2 work together, is first and foremost being able to enable the new pseudonymous economy, pseudonymous creators. And as we know, that's going to become more and more important as the world becomes more censored, more controlled. And I'm guessing all 4 of us probably think that's the direction things are going. So that's the biggest key. The second thing is being able to have permanence of your good reputation. So if you think about all the good things you've done, think about the last 10 years, whether it was something at work, with your neighbor, anything that you've done, an educational thing, something that you've accomplished, what happened to that? Why wasn't it captured? Where does it live? Is it in someone's memory? Is it in someone's email that they sent you saying thank you? Like, where is this? It just disappeared into the ether, right? But what if we could capture that good thing, that achievement, that accomplishment, and then anchor it permanently in the blockchain? That's partly what Trajan is doing. Now imagine doing that over 10 years. That's pretty amazing to have a permanent record of those good things. And not only that, it's not things that you claim you did, but it's other people verifying you did that. So with Trajan, how we do it is the non-transferable NFT. So I could endorse Jack for putting on an incredible live stream that was educational, brought people together, that was high quality, and that will be a non-transferable NFT that will live on the blockchain forever, linked to his pseudonym, his .btc name. And now imagine 5 years of this. Now Jack has this incredible pseudonymous reputation where me and other people have verified that he's done these things. People can link us back to the blockchain of who we are. No one can deny that's what Jack did. They can't deny it. No one can steal that data or shut his account down, or that company that was keeping it shuts down or is bought by another company or changes, their policy, or Jack says something they don't like, so they cancel them off their reputation platform. So that's 2 things now. It's permanence, right? And it's third-party attestation. The third thing that with Trajan and Zero Authority DAO is now you're involving, crypto things. So now you're talking about, Bitcoin payments. You can start doing things like that. So it's just like leveraging all these tools from Web3 and blockchain that aren't anywhere when it comes to reputation. And so over the long term, this is why at Trajan we say reputation prosperity, because as you build up these reputations, it opens doors to prosperity, good financial prosperity, right? Becoming a consultant, starting a company and having people look at your track record. It could even be an interpersonal thing. Maybe you're finding a business partner. Heck, maybe you're trying to find a wife. And over time, if you have this reputation that captures all these things about you, you can say, hey, go to my profile, see what other people have said about me. One last thing, and I'll cut myself off. Otherwise, I'll just talk about this for an hour straight, is the importance of not being cancelable. And what I mean by that is, imagine most people I think are generally good, but sometimes we all make mistakes. We do and say dumb things. And why should that hold us back for our whole life? So let's say someone says or does something dumb, and they might think it's dumb, but they might not. And someone says, I'm not going to hire that person, or I'm not going to get involved with that person, or I'm going to cancel that person, or whatever it might be. Well, that's not really fair. You have to look at someone's entire life to judge them. And so if you have this permanent record attested to by third parties, you can say, hey, let's look at the big picture here, right? And so by doing that, it makes people harder to cancel. It makes people have to judge the whole record rather than there was this one tweet they said. There was this one thing they wrote 5 years ago. There was this thing that they said to someone and it was captured on camera. So hopefully with this new online reputation systems and marketplaces, it will help everyone with that problem.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's, I know the concept. We've discussed this before, and every time you talk about it, I pick up something new, right? And it's so important because this has ramifications beyond the Bitcoin economy. But also, it seems like since so much of what we're doing at this stage in changing from this fiat economy to a Bitcoin economy is going to happen strictly in the digital world. I mean, we're kind of at the stage where we're just laying the foundation, right? So then that brings us over to Zero and Hodl over here at Zero Authority, where if people want to launch a project or they're looking for work, here they are, right? I mean, this is the place you go. I remember it wasn't that long ago, maybe 4 years ago, finding someone who knew how to do Solidity work wasn't easy. If you were someone from outside of this ecosystem and didn't work in tech, you might have to go a while to find someone who could write a smart contract for you, say. And then you're just dealing with someone who's using a pseudonym, right? So it's these things are solving very basic, very early problems. And so if, for instance, Zero or James, whoever wants to take this, how do you see Zero Authority changing that landscape where, do you believe it'll be easier for people to launch better projects? What do you look at as your initial hurdles, and where do you see this going over the next year in terms of this new way to network, this new way to work? um give us a little shot
Yeah,
of your
let me give you
vision.
the 40-foot thousand. And before I go on a soliloquy here and start going off on a tangent, because I know we can all talk about multiple things. I want to give a huge shout out to NeoSwap and Gamma. They helped us launch the Bitcoin pizzas. Now we have pizza ordinals. It's just been phenomenal. So I bring this up because, and thank you for all the people who have been a part of this auction. For us, Bitcoin pizzas and other NFTs on stacks on Bitcoin, it will play a role in the Zero Authority DAO and in the Cerulean marketplace. It will give you utility. And but why I mention this is one of the most important messages is, and I've told James this, when Satoshi wrote the white paper, he said that it was going to be a peer-to-peer network. So just the start of this network, we've gone through multiple iterations. We've said that it's a digital network. It's a store of value. I still remain pretty resolute that the words on that paper remain the same. It's just not today, not tomorrow, maybe not even this decade that we're going to see that full value proposition for Bitcoin. We're starting to see it as the anchor of the economy, being a digital monetary system. I still believe in my heart that it's going to be a peer-to-peer network that's global, that has no boundaries. And why I see that is I didn't know Ordinals was coming, right? But we kind of had some inklings that at some point in the future we will have NFTs on Bitcoin. At some point in the future, and I believe it's Bitcoin Improvement Proposal 300. If that goes through at some point, there's going to be the kind of arbitrums and optimistic rollups on a Bitcoin network. Now, Stacks is already in prime position because we have GigaBrains and we have everyone that could do this work. They're doing this work now, and that's why we've been so far out the gates on building a layer 2 on Bitcoin and creating this economy. But people are spending their Bitcoin to buy ordinals, right? We just saw the auction with BitcoinMagazine, and of course TO buying the first one, which was awesome. But I just saw a tweet to this morning, Xverse, they bought one too. And so
Satoshables as well.
Satoshables, right? And BitcoinMagazine, if you guys haven't been around and you're watching this, this is a huge deal. BitcoinMagazine has been an advocate and a mouthpiece of the maxis for a long time. It was kind of synonymous with maxis, and they're saying, no, this is the future. I don't care if maxis are going to jockey in position and say, hey, we don't support ordinals, because let's be honest, every maxi that usually goes to the Bitcoin conferences, they also hold a lot of other altcoins, whether it's Ethereum, Stacks, you can Uniswap. They all hold these tokens. So let's stop pretending. The world is going to be multi-chain. The world is going to go to a place where people will eventually spend their Bitcoin to transact around the world. James and I, we spend Bitcoin with some of our developers. We spend Ethereum, we spend Stacks, we spend all types of ways. And it's just amazing to see, and because we're all in a lot of Discords, we're all in different Twitter chats. We see work being done all the time. So it's just not unusual. So the concept of reputation, and this is where it gets interesting, and I'll go back to the LinkedIn example. I don't think the Web2 institutions are going to decay and just kind of go away. I think they're going to transition, but who are going to make the biggest impact? It's going to be the smallest players, like the Satoshables, like the Gammas, like the Xverse, what Ragnar is building with Trajan, what Zero Authority is building with the Cerulean marketplace. It's going to be these small players who are tiny today, and over time, people go there because we're Web3 natives. Reputation in a Web3 context, it means more than a Web2 context, right? So it's kind of like the whole conversation when Google used to be back in the 2000s. If you had a business and Google started to compete, they'll say, well, Google's going to take over. Then you saw it with Amazon. Well, Amazon's going to take over that space because they purchased a grocery chain. And you see it today too, where they'll say, oh, well, Amazon is getting involved in Web3. So if you have a business, you better be very afraid. But what Web2 companies and people that are not Web3 natives, they don't understand is a concept of community first. Like this, that first 1,000 true customers, true fans that support you no matter what. Web2, they kind of have the build fast mantra and scale. Web3 has let's build a community, let's serve the needs of what we all want to do together, and then create products from there. That's how we created the Cerulean marketplace. We didn't create a Cerulean marketplace and said, okay, let's scale, let's get investors. It was like, let's see what people are saying. We just love hanging out with all of these Web3 natives. Let's just see what they're saying. And let's see if we do actually build this marketplace, let's see how people would actually use it. So let me just kind of share where we are today and then where the future is, because this is going to be quite interesting. So today what James has done, Kenny the Rogers, Maria Verse, we've had Stack Degens help us, Sir Jonathan and Deployer. What we have done is build the infrastructure. So it's still a Web2 version, but what you're able to do today is come in, hey, I want to sign up and create a profile. Please sign up, please create a profile, because you guys are going to be included in the first airdrops. But today you can't see much activity, right? So we need better design. People are here. We see profiles. We see our good buddies like a Jack Ben Switch. We see people around the ecosystem who are saying this needs to exist. That gives us even more confidence and latitude to make this exist. So when we go live and launch here, you're going to be able to see a profile. You're going to be able to make an offer. It's going to be that simple and that easy. I want to work with someone. Go work with someone. We're not gatekeepers. We're zero authority. You don't need permission from us or anyone to build. Go build. Go do great things. The next iteration, this is where I get truly excited, because the LinkedIn's, the salary.coms, to us, they may either have to join like a Cerulean marketplace or zero authority or a Trajan to do these things later, because where we're going, where the future is, it's going to be in this ability to have a profile linked to your BNS, or you can have this profile that's portable, right? The whole idea of crypto is to have portability, right? And you have data ownership and portability. You can take that data wherever you go. And when you have the ability to come into a decentralized marketplace for gigs and then offer your service, whatever your service is too, because it's not just developer, it's not just content creator. There's so many people who offer their advice. Come in and offer your advice and earn 5 stacks, earn 5 satoshis, get paid sats. We don't care how you get paid, but people should earn from their recommendations, from their guidance. We're seeing that all the time, right? And so when we're going to launch the mobile version too, we know our audience is a global audience, right? So most of the people around the world, we look at the analytics every day, and we've been blown away. I mean, it's just, we see, I mean, and we're working with people in Nigeria, Nepal, Southeast Asia, Australia, the States, South America. I mean, everyone is all over the world. There's just no limit to where they are. And so here's this concept of where we start to build reputation, build trust, right? So when you have your Web3 profile, and anyone anywhere around the world can see, hey, these people did these things, and it's not just talk, right? I could go to their GitHubs, I can see what they've done, and also I could swap, right? So let me just swap, and where we're also going to be able to do some of this stuff too is I can't see in this one, but below here is going to be where people can say, hey, yeah, you did this work and you earned this reputation. So when people have the ability to do that and use the tools, we just see that it's going to be something where people, let me see, I wanted to share, I'll come back to it, but here's where I get really passionate and really excited about what I wanted to show is the ability to, let's see here, the ability for, let me refresh this. Here we go. So, right, the salary.coms and LinkedIn salaries, you go to that page, how much are people earning? You don't need any of that anymore. This is all open source. People are going to come to Zero Authority, and we're going to give grants out, and we're going to say, hey, if you have a great idea, build on top of this open protocol. Let's all build the future that we want to see, right? You can fork the code if you want and go build something, but why even waste the time? We're going to give you a grant. We're going to be able to pay you. We're going to earn revenues from our protocols. Really, what we want to create is this decentralized future where you've done some work, you earn that fee. You've done some work, you've earned that reputation, and then the contribution to the greater Web3. I have a place to see what are smart contract auditors what are their what are they getting paid? How are they earning satoshis in Bitcoin? How many on-chain transactions are there? So you'll be able to see all of the recent activities coming in, and then this is going to. We were just talking to one of our buddies in Nepal, and they're educating developers right now to build on Clarity contracting. Right, they're going to students are going to come to a page like this and say, where's the market opportunity where I could build something, help communities, but also earn a livable wage? It's just, this is where I truly get excited, because people will own their data, they'll own their reputation, they'll be able to show their reputation. But then in the far future here, not too far off, you're going to be able to see how people are earning and transacting, and that's all going to be aggregated, and that's just going to be awesome, man.
No, it's astounding what you all have built here, and it's relevant. It's important. This I think that especially now with AI, a lot of people are kind of insecure about their jobs, especially if they work in tech, and very. I think as a percentage, I think very few people actually understand the opportunities that we have in crypto and in Web3, and people will catch on, right? That's going to happen. Next bull market, as soon as Bitcoin hits a certain threshold, it's got everyone's attention, and I think that this is very timely, because we really are trying to do things, overall speaking, without a roadmap, right? This is all uncharted territory. So things like this are a step in that direction of creating a way for people to earn a living, doing what they love, furthering the Bitcoin economy, and it's just profound. James, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So what I'll say is what I like to mention is it wasn't too long ago, maybe a little over 100 years ago, where most people didn't work for a boss; they worked for themselves. They we didn't have industrialization. We kind of just were hacking away at our skills, and then you got rewarded for what you produced. And for the largest extent of human history, that was the case. And I don't think there's any reason why we don't revert back to that with the tools that we have at our disposal. So like this whole kind of corporate world in which we live in, where you have a resume and you have a couple bullet points that describe what you did for 10 years. I just don't think that's going to be the model for the future. I think the model is going to be we're very multidimensional people, and that if you want to work, if you want to do some marketing stuff, well, you end up you go and you do that, and you can show that off. If you want to go and you do some coding stuff, you get paid for that, you can show that off. We're capable of doing a lot of different things and getting rewarded and growing in those spaces. And I think that's where you'll see people flourish, because they'll be able to pick the people they work for, right? They'll be able to say, hey, I really like this opportunity at this DAO. Okay, maybe I can do some marketing stuff for them. I can do this. And over time, that gives people the opportunity to work on the things that they truly are like they align with, right? And so I think that at scale kind of crumbles the whole corporate model of how people operate in today's world. And that's the kind of goes in line with growing the pseudo-anonymous economy, also growing the network state. So how much basically the GDP that occurs on the Bitcoin network. I think that's an important thing to think about long term. And we're talking about a peer-to-peer network. We're wanting to grow the GDP of that network, and I think that's kind of an interesting way to look at it.
You brought up something
here.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Ragnar.
Yeah, I like what you guys are saying, and what you this peer-to-peer network. It also reduces basic friction of commerce. So I have a developer, and he's overseas, and for various reasons, bank transfers don't work for him. And so if you're sort of a native job network, a native reputation network with Bitcoin and crypto in general, it becomes a lot different when you're just making payments and setting up contracts. You could put money in escrow. You could send people money directly to their address. That address could also be, you know, their reputation or their work, so people can actually prove, hey, I actually did this project. I actually got paid for it. You could see it on chain, which is fine probably if you're pseudonymous. But it just lowers the friction. It increases visibility, because if I'm going to hire a developer, I want to see like, okay, what have you done? And if he or she can show me, here's my Bitcoin payments, and you can show where it's from, and you can show the credentials on chain, well, heck, I'm going to hire that person a lot sooner than I have to like email someone they work for, and did they really have this It just, it lowers friction, and I think it just lowers barriers for regular people, whether it's kind of a side gig where they do little contract work here and there. I think the word you used was collapse, and one of you guys said collapse some of that middleware and infrastructure. So I didn't want to interrupt you, Jack. It's just a thought that I had. James.
No, that's awesome.
No, that's a great thought. It was one of the things that James said stuck out to me, and it's semi-related to the conversation. This idea that things as they exist in this moment, being static, like the idea of how we work, or the idea of even the nation state itself. You know, we grow up and we go to school and we just think, oh, this is just the way it is, and this is how we live. And you might, you know, have a good teacher here and there, and you learn a little bit along the way, but things always change. And oddly enough, you know, one of the things that helped me learn that on a deeper level is being immersed in crypto. And I see that same thought process play out over and over again, where people are like, oh, well, Bitcoin won't scale. This is, or you know, this is a scam because it doesn't pass the Howey test that, you know, was ratified or what have you in like 1946, or this is, and people are stuck in this mode of thinking. And what the crossover I want to do here is because I don't know, 4 months ago, call it 4 months ago, no one knew that you could upload essentially an NFT to Bitcoin, right? Like if Bitcoins lived here, NFTs lived here, and they did not cross. The closest you could get is anchoring them to Bitcoin via stacks, right? Like things always change, and they change in ways that we don't expect. And that's one of the things I want to talk about now, is just a little bit about ordinals, Ragnar. And first of all, you know, tell us a little bit about Ordinals 2023, and give us a bit of education about Ordinals in general, if you don't mind.
Yeah, thanks. So Ordinals 2023 is a conference taking place May 18th in Miami Beach. Yeah, there's a website, ordinals2023.com. And we're focusing on builders in the ordinal space. So we have many panel discussions, including wallets, inscription services, marketplaces, the core protocol, VCs, and research. And the last one is utility inscriptions. And so the idea is just to bring everyone together who are building things. And then we also have a hackathon that's kicking off on Monday. So that's what we're doing to sort of build up the ordinal technology and economy. And for us, it's so important to be able to start these relationships with people, because at such an early stage, you know, working with the right people is key. And then going back to ordinals themselves, for Trajan, we are incorporating ordinals into Trajan. That's part of the reason why we are sort of pushed back our launch date, was to be able to incorporate those. We were going to launch earlier, but then ordinals hit, and we had to kind of regroup and see how we're going to use this. Specifically for Trajan, what is the benefit of inscriptions compared to NFTs on Stacks or Ethereum? Well, I think, as we know, the main benefit is that data, that file is on chain. It doesn't point to something off chain, to IPFS, which is kind of how Stacks works now in Ethereum, where you just have a pointer to somewhere else. And so if you are trying to build this reputation, where you want it to live forever, where you don't want it to get lost, where you don't want a server to go down. You want to put that reputation, at least anchor the key points of data on Bitcoin layer 1 as an ordinal inscription. So that's the main advantage for ordinals when it comes to reputation, as identity, that permanence, that finality, that immutability of that thing that you are trying to establish forever. And then now, because it's on Bitcoin layer 1, there will be new applications that you can build on top of it, linking to a Bitcoin address. You can also settle like your stack stuff. You can do cool stack stuff, layer 2, that are programmable with your .btc or your BNS name. Do some cool things you can't do on layer 1, but then settle it and finalize it on Bitcoin layer 1 as ordinals. So that's how I see, on a most basic level, what ordinals come in terms of identity and reputation.
No, that's cool. I think that you know, you're seeing some capitulation in the NFT market. You know, and that's, you could say that's normal market cycles. But again, you had an immense amount of Ethereum traders flee to Bitcoin to catch these ordinals early, and that's part of the overall market cycle, right? But there's some confusion about, oh well, are NFTs just dead now, or are there, or is ordinals going to be just NFTs now? And my take on that is, the NFT as the PFP, that is probably going to be a part of crypto history as much as Dentacoin was a part of crypto history. You know, when you just, these early days where anybody made an alt, and it could be vaporware, and you could just go and get it, and it created all these insane volumes. But NFTs do have use cases. They are programmable, and I think that when you talk about friction, I think that these are the moments that really get people to further explore and further develop capabilities of, like we're seeing with Bitcoin, where now you can have ordinals on them. But I think we'll see similar things with NFTs, where people focus more on how do we bring this real life function, to these things, and make them valuable, make them worth having. And that's just kind of how I think it's going to play out. But you guys are, people who I all have tremendous respect for. So I wanted to get here in the last 10 minutes or so, y'all's thoughts on the future of NFTs in light of ordinals.
One thing I want to say, Jack, is I don't know if you guys remember, kind of after, I think it was like around after the 2010 kind of, there was this whole ALS bucket challenge. And it kind of just went nationwide, right? Around the world, people were doing this with the wizards in the shower. That was really cool, because it was like, Bitcoin is fun again. We have people around the world doing this like wizard shower challenge, and it's not just that, just like kind of like these cultural moments, but what it represented was that I'm going to try. And there's been a ton of people over time that said, I want to build something on Bitcoin. And then they kind of just had given up, right? They kind of went to Ethereum and other chains, and maybe Stacks too. And now they're back on Bitcoin. And it feels like, and Munib said this, it feels like 2013 all over again, where people have the latitude and the willingness and the persistence to try to build something again. And we're gonna see another explosion. And where we are in the market cycle, we're just at the beginning of the new bull run. I've seen your tweets, and I follow James on his tweets, and James is one of the smartest people in macro that a lot of people don't know about. But we are in a new bull run. We're going to see 10%, 20% corrections, and people are going to get really afraid. And then a couple of months down the road here, they're going to say Bitcoin at 300, Bitcoin at 200,000, Bitcoin won't stop. And then that's where you kind of know, okay, well, the hype cycle is back. We should taper expectations. But it just has made Bitcoin fun again, and seeing people get excited about this digital bedrock of opportunity is just so exciting to me.
Yeah, I like to jump in too. Looking at ordinals, I think in the long term, what we'll see more of is people wanting to store like rights to like intellectual property. We just saw that Drake song come out that was made entirely by AI, and so when we have reached that point, I think it is a lot more logical to be able to identify what's real and what's AI. I think crypto is a perfect use case for that. Where the Drake.btc launched this song. Okay, we know that's actually him. That's not an AI. I think there's a lot of value in that. But then also, there's a lot of interesting things that you can do too. It's owning the rights to those songs, getting certain access. There's a lot of kind of non-tangible assets that are traded right now that are on balance sheets of companies and all of this. And normal people don't have any exposure to any of it. And it's like that. I think that's just an untapped market opportunity. And what I'll also add too is I think it's incredibly important that we have a like unfettered access to this database that we can print to now. And in the world of with ordinals, and it's with the world we're in, with large language models and everything, data is the essential thing there. And so the fact that we could use something like the like ordinals to uh, have like an open AI where anybody could use that data to create their own language models from. And I think that's a really interesting concept too.
Yeah, that's some ahead of the curve stuff, man. That's why this has been such a good panel. Ragnar, do you have any thoughts here as we're going into the end?
Yeah, I like what he said about AI. So I was talking to someone who is I would call it not too friendly to ordinals.
Ragnar, can I cut you off for 1 second?
Yeah.
Sorry. For the general, for the community and stacks and Bitcoin, please give us some feedback on our roadmap. We want to make this super accessible, super open for everyone, everywhere. So sorry, Ragnar, I just wanted to say that. Please give us some feedback. We love feedback. We want to hear it all.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that.
So what I was saying about AI is that I was talking to someone who doesn't really like ordinals. He thinks it's kind of bloating the blockchain. But the one thing that he said he did like was the idea of certain AI things, because we think AI is going to be so incredibly powerful. And if AI is sort of controlled by a certain group or a certain political philosophy, that's dangerous. And so he believes by inserting different AI code and elements as ordinals, those will live forever, where anyone can build applications off of that. So in terms of the future of ordinals, I would say censorship resistant data and anything around something that needs data, I think is going to be one of the most compelling use cases for ordinals.
100%. 100%. Yeah, Bitcoin is more than just money, and we've learned that Bitcoin can also be a fierce defender of the truth. And in this world, that is one of our biggest struggles at the moment is discerning truth from lies. And we have the ability now to record truth, to leave it for the future generations in a way that no other human has ever experienced, and as far as we know, and that is phenomenal. I want to thank all of you for watching. I want to thank the panel for being here. I strongly advise you to follow these gentlemen on Twitter, see what's going on. Every one of the things I like to do, I just like to learn, and I always learn something when I talk with people like Ragnar, James, and Zero. There's no substitute for getting in there and really being a part of the community at this level. I encourage everyone to get more involved. Go check out Discords, go check out Flagship, go check out the Twitter Spaces. This is how we progress, okay? Because as someone with a non-technical background, you wonder how could you ever contribute to this space? Well, sure enough, there's ways to do it, and I wouldn't have realized the potential for that had I not started speaking to gentlemen like this. So thank you all for coming today. It was a great discussion, and I would love to have you all back anytime. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Doing a great job here at Flagship. They're lucky to have you.
Thanks. And yeah, y'all, anything else? We got another minute. I actually did read the roadmap for Zero Authority the other day when you posted it, and it made me like super bullish. Like this is awesome. So definitely check out the roadmap that Zero posted up here, and just see what's coming. Stay ahead of the curve, and let's. Oh, okay, we have a few more minutes. All right, anyone want to leave any?
What I was going to say is we've had, and Ragnar, thanks for always jumping on our Twitter Spaces a couple months back, and we do believe the movement for on-chain reputation. We're all super. I mean, all of this is early. Ordinals are early. We just crossed 1 million ordinals. That's crazy. It's so early. Stacks mainnet just happened in early 2021. So the conversations we're having with Ragnar, for example, he's building reputation a slightly different way from us, and we're doing it a different way through our marketplace. But I believe that we're going to see this explosion of what on-chain reputation is. It may manifest through DAOs, it may manifest through ordinals or even NFT formats. Like if there's, and we've told Ragnar, like, hey, that'd be awesome if we could integrate your protocol or your decentralized app into ours later on down the road, especially if there's different use cases. Ultimately, and this is what I love about this community together, we want to do what's best for everyone in a way that's it doesn't mean that we're what you or me are creating is meant to be for everyone, but it's meant to say we do think about how people will use this data, and ultimately we want people to own their own data, own their reputation. So we're all early. I mean, even Jack, the writings that you just did for Alex, I was reading that this morning. It's been phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
The writings you did for the first people coming into the Cerulean marketplace. I mean, for me, I shared a bunch of those links recently, or maybe a few weeks back on Twitter. But those are relics. Those are like the first like proof points. And when we had other people doing content like the advisor for us, and just doing general content in the ecosystem, these are artifacts that are all important as the building blocks of culture and community. And so I heard it from someone, and I can't remember who said it, but NFTs are a seed investment in culture. And that's the way I think about like ordinals, your writing. I think about if anyone is blogging and creating memes and content, like even like Megapont creating like these like new mega Pepes and stuff like that. Like this is all representative of culture, and that it's just you and Stacks and Bitcoin now is just it's a place where you feel like you can be amongst really creative people and push the boundaries on what's possible now.
Oh yeah, it made me think of that scene in Fight Club, the movie, where Brad Pitt's character, right, Tyler Durden, says we're the middle children of history, right? And I mean that's Gen X, right? But really, this technology has eliminated that, because no, we're actually on the precipice of changing history, and we do have the ability to leave our mark in a more profound way than our parents did, for sure. And this is outstanding. And yeah,
there was one tweet where you were saying something, and then I posted a just like a GIF or just it was about the fourth industrial revolution, and I said we're in the middle of it. And then someone replied like, oh no, we're at the start of it. And I said, no, I stand corrected. You're right. We are at the start of the fourth industrial revolution with AI, blockchain, genetics. And this is why it all feels exponential, right? Because like just a month ago, there were no ordinals, or a couple months ago, there were no ordinals. Fast forward 3 months, we have over 1 million ordinals. It feels exponential, right? And like the AI tools, we had ChatGPT coming into this year. Now we have that. I just saw that tweet about you could take some images, feed it to the AI. I think it's Nerf, and it creates a whole video out of those. And it's just this explosion, and it's happening faster, and it's so important to pick one thing. I don't believe AI is going to replace people in aggregate. I just believe people are going to get smarter. People are going to use the technology in creative ways that they haven't been able to before.
100%. Yeah. It's going to lower the cost of things, right? So when you talk about just prosperity, lowering the cost of making something is a huge part of that. And
we need to get rid of CBDCs.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, gentlemen, thank y'all. Thank you for coming. I appreciate this immensely, and it was a pleasure. So, yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Jack.
you all for
Thanks
watching.
so much, everyone.
Follow these guys. Check out jackbenswitch.com. Check out Flagship. They actually started an AI outpost, which is really cool. It is like the AI models trained on market metrics, and it's new. It's just getting started, and I think it's going to give us a good idea of where things are headed. So this is going to be pretty neat. All right. See y'all.